A top in-state prospect has left Ole Miss off his top 4 list, but are the Rebels really out of it?
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Ole Miss. I'm Brian Smith in for Stephen Willis. Thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen each and every day. We're available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And thank you once again. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, you can get $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. We've got a bevy of different topics involved today. A lot of transfer portal. Somebody might be getting sued in the transfer portal. If I can get to that later, we got NFL draft. Walter Nolan, as the time of this podcast being actually broadcasted, will have been drafted. And I just saw that he went up, but haven't had a chance to even research anything with it. He goes 16th overall. We're going to talk about that. And again, the recruit in question is Railen McCoy, and that's where we begin today's show. He didn't put the Rebels in his top 4. Railen was just at Ole Miss, though, and he has a visit lined up. What does that mean? Let me put it to you like this. Recruiting is as fluid as water. Railen is an elite recruit. He's got Auburn, Florida, Texas, and LSU set for visits. Ole Miss is one that he has as well that might get pushed back to the fall. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if there's something good or bad, but I would put the brakes on in regards to saying either A, Ole Miss is out, or B, Ole Miss is just doing what they want to do. It's probably a little bit of everything. Railen has been hot and cold with Ole Miss at different points, and he's a kid that I've known about for a long time because he was at the elite competitions like Under Armour. He's at 5-on-5 competitions with California Power. He knows the game, and this will probably play out till signing day. So again, his visits are Auburn, May 16th, Florida, May 30th, Texas, June 13th, LSU is on the 20th of June. Ole Miss was set to be June 6th. There's rumor now, based on the Ole Miss on 3 site, that may not be there. I picked that up. It was one of the national feed articles I saw on 3 on the Ole Miss site. But I really don't know. I haven't talked to Railen in a while. But again, I would put the brakes on worrying too much one way or the other. Ole Miss will probably be involved. Now, speaking of roster management, Pierce Clarkson, quarterback that transferred to Ole Miss from Louisville, is no longer with the Ole Miss Rebels. He has decided to transfer out. He didn't play. He was a highly ranked kid out of St. John Bosco, one of the absolute best programs in the country, signed with Louisville, went to Ole Miss, and now he is back in the portal. With the addition of the quarterback they just got out of the portal from Ferris State, at some point, there's just not enough footballs to go around. So I wasn't surprised by this. What I am surprised by is the fact that it happened so quickly. Then again, this is the way the world works. Like, you bring in a guy in the spring, as soon as the portal opens, and boom, you get him. So Clarkson either had to make a move or just got to sit the bench. Maybe he was told to leave, basically, because they were bringing in somebody to replace him. I don't know. But the kid from Ferris State won a title, but he hasn't taken any reps. So I'm not sure if Clarkson was unhappy with being a backup and not sure if he's 2 or 3, or if he wasn't going to be the starter, which, if you've listened to me on this show when Stevens had me on as a guest, or since I took over for Steven last week, you know that I'm very high on Lefty. He can spin it. He's a kid that I've seen. He can throw it. He's very highly intelligent. He can understand the defense. If Clarkson thought he was going to be the starter this year, and more power to him, probably why he's gone, as much, if not more, than Trinidad Chambliss coming to Ole Miss from Ferris State. But whatever. It is what it is. So that's one piece of portal news that I wanted to get to. Here are a couple of interesting notes. Ole Miss is still tinkering with the portal, and they've got the number 2 portal class according to On3. I want to go over some of the rankings for SEC programs and kind of like where Ole Miss ranks with other teams and why I like their class coming in from the portal. But they've got a chance at Bernard Gooden. This is a great story. Kid didn't do much first few years, but he really did something last year. He played at USF. He's a defensive lineman. He's a little undersized, 6'1", 270, but he's productive. Defensive grade, 82.2. Run defensive grade, 87.9. Look, if you start off with those, we can work here, okay? He's obviously got some skills. And again, 6'1", 270, Bernard Gooden. He played at USF. Tackling 67.6, a little low. 72.1 for pass rush. And again, he's a guy that can play interior. Play edge, move him inside, etc., move him around. That's important. He had 30 pressures, 2 sacks, and 14 stops. A stop is a play made at or near the line of scrimmage where the offense is considered to be a failed play. So with that being stated, that's a kid they're going to be bringing in Saturday. He was at OSU. Now he's going to Ole Miss. We'll see how it goes, but that's a really good player. They're also very interested in, per reports, Emmanuel Carnley. I'm a little iffy on this. He's a long corner, very athletic, played at Arizona. He transferred into a very DB-hungry Miami program. Miami stunk at DB last year. They were terrible. Yet he's already out. He's 6'3", 185 pounds. He's long, but I looked up his coverage grade on PFF. It was only 59.5. Now, Arizona was not the beacon of defensive enlightenment. Okay, I get it. But 59.5, that's not a good sign. He's got a lot of talent, but that's not a good sign. The other DB that they're rumored to have some kind of interest in, I don't know if this is true, Zaquan Patterson. For those of you who don't know, South Florida kid, played at Chaminade Madonna, elite recruit. Every school offered him in the Floridas. Georgia offered, Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, it was just across the board. But he didn't have a ton of success last year at Miami as a true freshman. And their secondary coach is gone. The new defensive coordinator's in, etc. So maybe it didn't work out, but that's a kid with all kinds of physical tools. 6 foot, 6'1", and he is yoked. Very smart young man, very downhill oriented. He wants to see ball, kill ball. But at the same time, he's somebody that could probably end up leading the back end of your defense at some point. I don't think he would first year. But if Ole Miss brings him in for a visit, that could help cure an ill. And I'm going to talk about this more here in just about 2 minutes. But safety might be the biggest need that's still on the board from the transfer portal. Again, the Rebels have 29 guys in the fold from the winter and the spring combined, but they could use another safety. If they could get Patterson, the talent's there. I don't know if he's ready, especially without going through spring, how much he would be ready from game one. That's a lot to ask. Safety is more complex than ever. That's really hard on young players, but in some way, shape, or form, he's going to help you. And he would be a day one special teams guy. He is a thumper. So I would imagine that Zaquan Patterson is a player that Ole Miss would love to at least get on campus and find out what the deal is. Hey, what do you want NIL-wise? What is it you want to do in scheme? Where do you think you fit? Here's what we're doing. What can we do? It's at least worth that opportunity. Now I want to move over to something that's a little bit different, but I don't think you're going to be shocked by any of this. Like, got my list all written out here. 29 players, as I noted, for the Rebels. And I just went through and pulled out the SEC schools. Are you surprised by the following numbers? And I got 5 other questions on the portal here for y'all. Are you surprised at these numbers? The Rebels are already at 29, and they're in on a couple more, like Bernard Gooden that I just talked about. Okay. Is that okay if you're trying to make a playoff run? Most of the teams that really make deep runs recruit from the high school ranks almost primarily, if not exclusively for the most part, like except for just a handful of guys and then a few depth pieces. Can Ole Miss be that team that kind of goes against that rule? I think they're going to make a run this year, but we'll see. Apparently, it's a little bit off from what I originally thought because I went through, and again, these are just the SEC schools and their rankings, but LSU's 13 or number 3, they've got 16 guys in, 22 out. Auburn's number 6, they got 20 guys in, 23 out. Kentucky's number 8, 22 guys in, 30 out. Mizzou, they've been a really good program. They were almost in the playoff. Number 10 portal class, 21 guys in, 23 out. A&M, 14 guys in, 23 out. They're number 15 class. In Texas, who's probably going to be preseason number 1, they haven't taken quite as many, but they've still taken 10 transfers already. They have the 16th class. They have 15 out. Key there is they're still trying to get more defensive help, and they could be getting a couple other guys that are key. We'll find out, but it's interesting with that. One other player I want to mention, I don't have all the details on his visit for Ole Miss. This could be the key since we're talking about safeties. AJ Halsey, He's a really good player. He was first team all Big 12 last year, 74 tackles, 5 picks. He started his career in New Mexico, and he did not miss a game as a starter. If he's played in it, he's started in his career. That's something I picked up from one of the Ole Miss sites. I forget which one, but if you've done that, you're pretty good. 6 foot, 215 pounds, 85.5 coverage grade per Pro Football Focus, and overall defensive grade is 80.5. Again, first team all Big 12. That would be an absolute grand slam for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. They're trying to get him. When we come back, we got more portal, including some information about some of the other SEC teams. Where does Ole Miss really rank with that? That is next here on Locked On Ole Miss. Did you know your Fire TV stick is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to X Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football to Call of Duty as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Affordable and portable. Play high-profile games on the Xbox at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to not only do it for yourself, but if your kids got those games on there too, you could do it for them wherever you plug in. I also like Fire TV Stick just for the basic stuff. Game of Thrones or anything else that you want, all the different apps right there on your Fire TV Stick. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices including Fire TV Stick 4K, 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube, 3rd generation. Ole Miss is still doing very well in the portal, but here are a few questions for you that I'm just curious about as I learn more and more about the Ole Miss fan base and the program. Can the Rebels land at least one more top safety? I just talked about Halsey, but if it's not him, can they get one? If Steven tells me that's their biggest need, that's about all I need to know. And he's told me that multiple times. So here's a reminder. Last year, Ole Miss did not do very well in passing defense. They were 86th in the nation. That's not getting it done. If they don't get this safety, whoever it may be, I'm under the impression that may be the piece that costs them come playoff time. Right now, if I had to guess, I'm going to say Ole Miss 10-2, they make the playoff, but you're not going to advance if you've got anywhere near the 86th passing defense. You're going to get smoked by somebody. They must land not just a safety, a top safety. This is pay up or get out kind of situation. This is going to be NIL. Next, Patrick Kudus, Caleb Odom. You got Stribling, Kawan Lacey. They've done a really good job. Now, we've already talked about the safety position. Is there any other place that they need to add? They've got a little bit of everything. Like Kudus is maybe the most important guy. Getting an offensive lineman that's got starting experience was huge. Caleb Odom, etc. They got a lot of guys, but I'll take Kudus because experienced linemen are hard. Anywhere else that you, as an Ole Miss fan, would like to see Lane nab at least one more player? Give the position and give why. Post your comments down below. Number 3, is Ole Miss deeper in the trenches than ever before? Here's my question underneath that. I'm not talking about starting with the starter, like second and third team. Last year's D-line is going to be as good as Ole Miss ever gets. I mean, that was ridiculous. But are they overall deeper? Lane started hitting the high school ranks better, and while they've got a lot of guys going in and out, they've got 29 guys coming in, 27 coming out. They got the number 2 class in the portal. They've still done a much better job in the high school ranks. On the O-line, Kudus adds another starter, and you don't have to play as many guys early in their careers. Okay, here's the last part with that. Do you find one more portal guy, even if it's just a depth piece maybe in the trenches, even if you think they are the deepest? The teams that made the Final Four last year, and that's the goal for Kiffin and the Rebels, Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, they all had really good lines. Now, you lost some good ones, but you're going to need depth pieces. Even Ohio State and Notre Dame in the championship game, they both had multiple offensive line starters out for the title game. It's a long season if you're going to make a run. Depth matters. Number 4, can Ole Miss win a defensive slugfest if they're in one of those games? There's always at least one or two in the SEC where it's just a quagmire, October, early November, and it's just raining sideways. I don't care what Kiffin's play sheet is. Some of those games, you're not going to throw it around. Can they win a 16-13 game against an Ole Miss or against an LSU or somebody else, maybe the Arkansas game, whatever it is that they're in? I don't care who it is, because they're going to have to find a way. Again, they were 86th in passing defense. In that kind of scenario, it's about trenches, and they're better. And you're going to unleash Perkins in every game. Suntarian Perkins is unbelievable. But if they can't win one of those games, do they deserve to be in the playoff? That's why I'm bringing this up. Weather matters, and weather is always impacted by Mother Nature, who is undefeated all time. If you were Kiffin, this is number 5, would you have attacked the portal in the same way? Meaning they've got 29 guys. Part of this is guys just went out because they want to play right now. Kiffin doesn't get to make that call. It's a free and open market. That's fine. But would you have gone after as many portal players as he did, or would you have tried to get a few more high school kids and just go that route? The reason I asked that kind of goes back to what I asked a few minutes ago. Ole Miss is in a scenario where they have a chance to make the playoff this year. They absolutely do. But at some point, when do you get off the portal train? They've done a better job with high school recruiting, for sure. But if they're really going to make a dent in the high school ranks, at some point, even if it costs you part of a season, you have to take fewer portal players. There is no shortcut. High school players look at those numbers and they don't dislike it. They loathe it because they don't want to be recruited over through the portal. I think that's the one thing that hurts Ole Miss with some of the high school kids, especially out-of-state prospects. And again, there's no shortcut. You've got to live through the growing pains of guys being developed. I don't know if I would do it quite the way Kiffin would. I probably would have taken more high school players. It's not that hard to sell Ole Miss. But that's what Kiffin's done. The question, though, is for you. How would you have done it? Do you agree with Lane? Do you agree with me? Or do you have your own concept? When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about something in the portal that was bound to happen. It's been talked about. And to be honest, I'm surprised it hadn't happened sooner. A player may get sued. There could be multiple. They just happen to be brothers. The Imaleva twins are brothers. One's going to UCLA from Tennessee. One's going to UCLA from Arkansas. The latter in particular has really stirred the pot. That is next here on Locked on Ole Miss. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel, you can place your first $5 bet. You'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. For me, I'm a basketball guy. I love the three-point shot. If you're going to do any kind of prop bet, my opinion is three-pointers is easy to think about. What team are you going up against for the player you want to talk about? And are they going up against a team that's maybe coming on a back-to-back or anything like that? It's an easy way to do it. But you could do assists, rebounds, or anything else. And you could do it with golf or any other sport too. Prop bets are a lot of fun. And if you want, you could always live bet on a game. Whether you got in on the action early or not, you can live bet with FanDuel. So don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. The SEC always seems to be at the forefront when different things happen from a legal perspective, teams being added to the league, different rules, etc., the transfer portal. There's always something. Well, with Nico Imaleva going from Tennessee to UCLA, his brother, Madden, who was originally, this is hilarious, committed to UCLA, he ends up at Arkansas last minute. He signs, goes to Arkansas, but he's there a semester, took some NIL, and now he's headed to Westwood. Well, the collective that paid him is not very happy. And the athletic director at Arkansas said it's no problem in his mind for that collective to go after the Imaleva family for what happened. Now, we don't have the exact contract details, but let me lay the groundwork here. If you or I go into a store and we take something and we don't pay, we go to jail. When a player goes somewhere and he takes money and then he just leaves, should he just get a leave? Of course not. This was inevitable. The only reason this hasn't come up, and I've had this conversation a ton of times behind closed doors, is because people don't want to be the first one that goes after a kid because they don't want to get that moniker that they're going after teenagers, they're going after recruits. They don't want to get blackballed. Well, Arkansas doesn't give a you know what, and I think it's hilarious. There's also rumor that Tennessee is going to do this. Nico, I don't know if it's 2.2 million or something like that he was making, but whatever it is, he left him high and dry at the end of spring. So depending on how it gets labeled, but in some way, shape, or form, this is likely to be a breach of contract. And yes, you have to literally go in and be a lawyer and go through the contract the day they left. Why did it happen? There's going to be all kinds of arguing. But this is a precedent that's very important for Ole Miss and every other school in college football. When you sign them to a contract, you better have the right people signing these deals if you're Ole Miss too. When you sign these young men to contracts, if they leave early, once that precedent has been set, there's no reason to let them off the hook. You have to take a stand, even if it costs you a few recruits, and it's going to happen across the FBS. People are going to they sued a kid. I don't want my kids going there. Well, good. See you later. Because it's pretty much going to be a blackball deal. At some point, it can't be it's okay to take the money you get up front, stay a semester, and leave. It's not cool, especially when that semester is the spring and you don't play in any games. No, that's not how it works. Again, I don't get to walk into a grocery store, take the groceries without paying. That's not how it works. I will be shocked if this does not end up in court. And to be honest, I'm okay with it. It's time. It's been well past due. And I'm not picking on Nico or his brother Madden. This should have happened long before their scenarios. It's time that somebody grew a spine. Hats off to Arkansas, and there's rumors that Tennessee's going to follow suit. So let me give you a scenario of what's going to happen at some point. There's going to be a kid, especially, it could be Ole Miss or any other school. There's going to be an important recruit that signs with your institution. Not only is he talented, he's a D tackle or quarter, really important position, really elite player. You spent years recruiting him, all those things. And for whatever reason, it's not going to work out. Early enrollee. And to top it all off, this is where the political gets involved. He's from that program that you have to recruit every year in your state. But he hoses the program. This is going to happen to Ole Miss at some point. It's going to happen. Are you going to let him walk with a bunch of money because he went to school X, whatever the school is? There's a bunch in Mississippi. They don't want to tick off. At some point, you got to hold your ground. Very political. Trust me, some of these people that are around the kids, giving them very bad advice. I spoke with a financial advisor earlier today that deals with NIL. Some of the stories he gave me are just mind-blowing. It is amazing to me how some of these kids pick people. Don't pick your friends, by the way, if you're a recruit out there. Pick a real financial advisor that you actually pay. If you're not, you have failed miserably. Now I'm off my high horse on that. But the point is still the same. Ole Miss, Texas, USC, Notre Dame, doesn't matter the school. Regardless of the political fallback for the short term, the right answer is you have to go after the kid and his agent or whatever if he doesn't give the money back. And all he did was come in and collect a check and walk out the door. That spring signee stuff, that's garbage. That is absolutely, unequivocally garbage. It's been going on for too long. I'm surprised it went this long with NIL and it didn't happen. But I know it's the politics of it. This is cool. I have no interest in general in Arkansas, but I'm going to give them a little golf clap here because it's awesome that they're looking at it from this perspective. Not enough people do. I'll end it there, but we're going to see more about this, and I'm curious how quickly this snowballs. I bet you there'll be a bunch, and it will change how NIL is structured in these contracts. There will be commitments that go away or flip because schools are going to be, no. You have to sign this part because if you leave by this date, You have to give the money back. There's going to be a give the money back part coming in all these contracts, and there should have been already, especially Florida. That's one of the reasons they got hosed about a year or so ago. That's going to change. The schools are not going to hand out the cash unless you actually participate. It's not like the NFL where it's a massive signing bonus. That stuff is going out the window. This is going to happen. That's the way college football is, because you got to earn it to get it. Thank you once again for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Appreciate it. I'm in for Stephen Willis. I'll see you again next week. Everybody have a good one and take care.